Let me tell you something that sounds completely wrong at first. It sounds like the kind of statement that cannot possibly be true, the kind of thing you hear and immediately want to argue against. But I promise you, by the end of this video, you will understand exactly why it is true. A person making $72,000 a year can be much richer than someone making $155,000 a year. Same city. Same age. Same number of years after college. One of them looks successful from the outside. The other one looks average, maybe even a little behind. But one of them sleeps peacefully through the night without a care in the world. And the other one quietly panics every single time rent, credit card bills, and car payments all collide in the same week. That is the trap that nobody explains to you when you are growing up. Nobody teaches this in school. Nobody talks about it at dinner. Because most people still believe that money problems are solved by simply earning more money. If you are stressed about money, the obvious solution is to get a raise or a better job or a side hustle. But that is not always true. Sometimes earning more money just gives your bad habits a bigger bucket to leak from. Sometimes a higher income hides the problems instead of solving them. And by the end of this video, you will understand something that can completely change your future. Wealth is not built by how big your paycheck is. It is built by the rules you live by after the paycheck arrives. And once you see that clearly, once it really clicks in your mind, you may never look at rich-looking people the same way again. Let us get into it. Imagine two houses standing next to each other on the same street. The first house looks huge and impressive from the outside. It has fresh paint in a trendy color. It has fancy lights lining the driveway. There is an expensive car parked out front. Everything about it says success. The second house looks simple and modest. Nothing flashy. Nothing that would make you stop and stare. Just clean and calm and normal. Now imagine that the first house has a broken water pipe somewhere inside the walls. Every single day, water leaks out. It drips behind the drywall. It soaks into the insulation. It causes damage that nobody can see from the street. And the second house has strong pipes and solid walls and everything works perfectly. That is the difference between income and wealth. Income is what people see from the street. It is the car and the clothes and the dinners out. Wealth is what is quietly happening inside the walls. It is the savings and the investments and the margin. A lot of people spend their entire lives trying to make the outside of their house look expensive while the inside is quietly flooding. That is modern money culture summed up in one sentence. Big salary. Tiny margin. Beautiful lifestyle. Constant pressure. And the cruel part is this. The person with the leaking house often does not even realize how bad it is because the outside still looks so good. Let us imagine two real people. We will call the first one Mike. Mike earns a big salary. $155,000 a year. He has the nice apartment in the popular neighborhood. He has the new phone every year. He leases a luxury car. He has a gym membership he barely uses. He has all the streaming apps. He spends money on weekends because it was a rough week and he deserves to relax. From the outside, Mike looks like he made it. He looks like the person everyone wants to be. But inside, Mike is tired. Not physically tired. Financially tired. He does that silent math in his head all the time. How much is left in my account? When is the next payment due? Can I move money from savings to checking to cover this? Will this transaction clear before payday? He earns a lot of money, but his life is built like a tower of children's blocks with one loose piece at the bottom. It looks stable until something shakes. Now meet Dana. Dana makes much less. $72,000 a year. She drives an older car that is paid off. She lives in a smaller apartment in a less trendy area. She keeps her phone for 3 or 4 years. She does not constantly upgrade things. But Dana has something that Mike does not have. She has space. Space in her bank account at the end of the month. Space in her mind because she is not constantly doing mental math. Space in her month between when bills arrive and when they are due. Space between a small problem and a full disaster. And that space is what financial stability really is. It is not a title or a car or a salary number. It is space. Here is one of the biggest lies that adults accidentally tell themselves and each other. Once I make more money, everything will finally calm down. Sometimes that does happen. For some people, a higher income really does solve problems. But for many people, the opposite happens. Because if you do not have rules, if you do not have a system, a higher income does not solve the problem. It magnifies it. Imagine giving a faster car to someone who never learned how to steer properly. They do not become a safer driver. They crash faster and harder. That is what a bigger income does to undisciplined spending. The money comes in faster. The leaks get bigger. The lifestyle expands to fill every available dollar. The pressure grows right along with it. And then something strange happens. A person earning $155,000 starts feeling the exact same money stress as someone earning $45,000. Just with better shoes and a nicer car. That is why some high earners are secretly fragile. Their life is expensive to maintain. Their paycheck is carrying the whole machine. And the moment that machine stops, the moment they lose a job or have an unexpected expense, the panic begins immediately. Most people spend their entire lives chasing money without ever deciding what enough actually means. That is like getting into a taxi and telling the driver to just drive faster without telling them where you want to go. Where are we going? No idea. Just drive faster. That is how people live for decades. They do not have a target. They have an appetite. And appetites grow. They always grow. So here is the first rule. Decide what a comfortable life actually costs for you. Not a fantasy life. Not an Instagram life. A real one. A life where your bills are paid. You eat well. You can rest when you are tired. You can enjoy some fun things. You can save money for the future. You can breathe without constant stress. Write that number down on paper. Put it somewhere you can see it. Because once you know your enough number, something powerful happens. Every dollar above it stops being more spending money and starts becoming freedom money. It becomes money that buys you options instead of just buying you things. If you never define enough, your lifestyle will keep moving the finish line further away every time you get close. And that is one of the most expensive games in the world. When most people buy something, they only see one cost. The price tag on the item. But every single purchase has a hidden cost that nobody talks about. I call it the shadow price. The shadow price is what that money could have become if you had kept it and invested it instead of spending it. That is where spending becomes serious. A nicer car payment is not just a monthly payment. It is also future peace that you will never have. It is future investing that will never happen. It is future options that will never exist. It is future years of freedom that you will never get to experience. Now, this does not mean never buy anything. That would be a miserable and silly way to live. You should enjoy your life. You should spend money on things that matter to you. But it does mean that you should see the full picture before you decide. A $300 monthly habit does not feel huge in the moment. It is just one subscription or one dinner out or one small expense. But over 10 or 20 or 30 years, that same habit can quietly become tens of thousands or even hundreds of thousands of dollars that you no longer have. That is why tiny leaks matter. Not because one coffee or one subscription ruins your future. But because repeated invisible choices, made over and over again, become giant numbers when time touches them. Time is what turns small habits into life outcomes. Now let us talk about one of the most uncomfortable truths in all of personal finance. A lot of people are not buying things because they genuinely love those things. They are buying things because they want to be seen a certain way. Not always consciously. Most people would never admit this to themselves. But it is there. The better car. The newer phone. The expensive dinner spot. The outfit with the logo. The furniture that looks impressive. The constant upgrades. So here is a question that cuts through all the fog and confusion. Would I still want this if nobody else would ever know I had it? If this thing existed in a world where nobody could see it, where nobody would ever comment on it, where nobody would ever be impressed by it, would I still want it? That question is powerful because it separates joy from performance. It separates what you actually love from what you are just performing for others. A lot of modern spending is performance. People are buying proof. Proof that they are successful. Proof that they belong. Proof that they are doing okay. Proof that they have made it in life. But here is the sad joke that plays out millions of times every single day. The audience you are trying so hard to impress is usually too busy performing their own success to even notice yours. They are worried about their own car and their own phone and their own dinner. They are not really watching you. So people go broke on a stage where nobody is even paying attention. That is a terrible trade. Impulse is expensive. Not because wanting something is bad or wrong. Wanting things is normal and human. But because fast decisions are where smart people suddenly act foolish. The entire internet is built to catch you in weak moments. Late at night when you are tired. When you have had a long day. When you are bored and scrolling. When you are emotional about something. When the words limited offer hit your screen like an alarm bell telling you that you must decide right now. So you need a wall. You need a delay. A pause between I want this and I bought this. A simple rule can save people thousands of dollars over a lifetime. For non-essential things above a certain amount, wait 72 hours. Not forever. Just 3 days. Long enough for the emotional smoke to clear. Because many things feel incredibly urgent for 1 hour and then feel completely unnecessary 3 days later. That pause protects you from becoming a customer in someone else's psychological trap. Urgency is a sales tactic. Patience is protection. Modern culture has trained people to confuse the word old with the word bad. That is a disaster for building wealth. A phone that still works perfectly fine is not a problem. A car that still runs reliably is not an emergency. Furniture that still does its job is not a crisis. But people get bored. And boredom is expensive when it has access to your wallet. So before you replace something, ask 3 simple questions. Is it truly broken or just old? Does the new one do something meaningfully different that actually matters to my life? Is keeping the old one actually costing me more money in repairs or inefficiency? If the answer to all 3 is no, then you are not replacing a thing. You are buying a feeling. You are buying the feeling of newness or the feeling of upgrading or the feeling of keeping up. And feelings are often the most overpriced items in any store. Lifestyle creep is one of the sneakiest forces in adult life. It almost never feels dramatic. It feels deserved. You get a raise at work. You celebrate a little. Then you celebrate a little more. Then the upgraded version becomes the normal version. A nicer apartment becomes just where you live. More expensive restaurants become just where you eat. A bigger car payment becomes just part of life. And soon the entire raise has disappeared. Not because you wasted it on one giant mistake. Not because you bought something crazy. But because your new normal quietly ate it. That is why a lot of people get richer on paper every year but not richer in reality. Their income grows. Their wealth does not. A powerful rule is this. When your income rises, send most of the increase towards savings or investing before you adjust your lifestyle. Let the raise build your future instead of becoming invisible within 30 days. People love to talk about discipline. They love to imagine themselves as strong and in control. But systems beat motivation almost every single time. If saving money depends on you remembering to do it, deciding to do it, and resisting the temptation to spend it every single month, it probably will not last. Life gets busy. You get tired. You have bad days. But if money moves automatically the moment you get paid, everything changes. Automation removes the drama. It removes the debate. It removes the need to be your strongest self every single week. And honestly, that is good. Because real life is tiring. Good systems protect you on your weak days. So set up the architecture. Savings automatic. Investing automatic. Bills automatic. Emergency fund separated. Then whatever is left is what you can actually spend. That simplicity creates peace. A lot of people quit budgeting because it becomes too complicated. Too many categories. Too many tabs in the spreadsheet. Too much guilt about every little purchase. So instead of tracking everything, track one powerful number. Your savings rate. How much of what comes in is actually being kept or invested? That number tells the truth about your financial life. If it is rising, you are building something. If it is falling, something is leaking. If it is zero, you are standing still no matter how high your income looks. Your savings rate is like a health monitor for your money life. Simple. Honest. Very hard to fake. Here is a thought that can permanently change the way you spend money forever. Money is not just money. Money is your time wearing a costume. You traded hours of your life to earn it. You exchanged your limited time on this earth for those dollars. So when you are about to buy something, ask yourself this question. How many hours of my life did this cost me? That question is powerful because dollars feel abstract. They are just numbers in an app. But time does not feel abstract. Time feels real. A random purchase sounds harmless until you realize that it cost you 8 hours of your life. Or 3 full workdays. Or 2 weeks of effort. Some things are absolutely worth that trade. A meaningful experience. Something that brings real joy. A gift for someone you love. But some things are not worth it. And you should know which is which before you spend. Now let us return to Mike and Dana. Mike looks richer. Dana is richer. Mike has the image. Dana has the structure. Mike has the signals. Dana has the safety. Mike has a lifestyle that needs constant feeding and attention. Dana has a life that can survive bad news without falling apart. And that is the part most people miss. The real goal is not to look expensive. The real goal is to become hard to break. That is wealth. Wealth means that one bad week at work does not destroy you. One broken appliance does not become a crisis. One missed paycheck does not turn into panic. One surprise expense does not take your breath away. Wealth is not loud. It is quiet. It sounds like sleeping well at night. It sounds like not checking your bank balance with fear. It sounds like having room in your mind to think about things other than money. It sounds like peace. So no. The person with the bigger paycheck is not automatically winning. Not if their life is built on pressure. Not if every raise just disappears into a bigger lifestyle. Not if every purchase is a performance for an audience that is not watching. Not if their paycheck is the only thing holding up a collapsing machine. The truth is much simpler than people think. A stable financial life is usually not built with flashy decisions. It is built with quiet rules repeated for years. Rules like define enough. See the hidden cost behind every purchase. Stop performing for people who are not watching. Delay your impulses. Keep things longer than you want to. Block lifestyle creep before it steals your raises. Automate the good stuff so you do not have to think about it. Track the one number that actually matters. Measure your spending in hours of your life. That is how ordinary people build extraordinary stability. Not overnight, but quietly, steadily, honestly. And in the end, that kind of life beats fake wealth every single time. If this video made you look at money differently, hit like and subscribe. And in the comments, write just one word. Write peace. Because that is what real wealth is really about. Not showing off. Not pretending. Not chasing. Peace. See you in the next video.